All right. Thank you for coming to today's webinar. I really appreciate you spending some time with us, taking some important time out of your day to learn more about the professional edition of .NET Nuke. My name is Will Stroll. I'll be conducting today's webinar. I'm one of the sales engineers at DotNetNuke Corporation. Also do quite a few things in the community. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to add them to the webinar. But we've got a couple of housekeeping items first to take care of. The first thing is I want to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you can hear me, please use the raise your hand feature in the control panel. All right. The next thing is I want to make sure you can see my slides okay. So I should be showing my slides, and the only thing you should be seeing on this screen is the slide with the little tree in the center. You should be able to see that clearly. So if you can see that, once again, can you please raise your hands for me? Excellent. Thank you, everybody. All right. I'm sure you're going to have questions, and I surely hope you do. So if you have any questions at all throughout the entirety of this webinar and this demonstration, please feel free to add them to the GoToWebinar question panel. It's going to be in the same area where you've been raising your hand, and type out any questions that you might have, and we're going to go ahead and answer those at the end of the webinar. If we cannot get to any of the questions, we will go ahead and address those via email following the webinar. So we generally get those done within 24 or 48 hours, and I think we can go ahead and promise that again. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we're going to get started. So when we talk about the web space in general, if you think about back to where where websites were in general in 2000, everything was very static. It was very brochure centric. It was all read only. There wasn't a whole lot of interactivity. And when we were in 2000 and building websites, it was very difficult to tell what was coming and what would be important to your website in the next 10 years. Maybe we could forecast e-commerce, but the importance of social and having a mobile website, those are things that would have been very, very difficult for you to forecast, much less plan for in the year 2000. And what we like to think about at .NET Nuke is, what's coming in the next 10 years. We want to worry about that for you. We know that your website is your most important business asset. We know it's difficult for you to do these features and to make sure that you can adapt and meet the needs of your visitors. And so that's where .NET Nuke comes in. We think about these problems for you, and we provide solutions for you to allow you to be adaptive, to allow you to react to these things with a very minimal amount of investment that you need, whether it's time or financing. Trying to meet those needs. We're obviously under extreme pressure, not just for that, but for everything. I mean, we're growing fast. Things are moving faster than ever. Competition, we have to worry about what they're doing or not doing and doing it better. All of this has a lot of complexity and cost, and now more than ever, we know there's a content explosion. There's content everywhere, whether we're talking about the various social networks that we may or may not be participating in or wanting to plug into or create our own. There is a lot of content that you need to get a hold of. So that's what we solve. We solve your ability to be agile as a business with your website property. It's very obvious that everybody these days struggle with how to respond to this unpredictable change, and we put ourselves at the forefront to allow you to have a way to do that without having to worry about what is the best practice. We offer those things for you. We put these into a nice package and allow you to use these in your websites to get relevant very quickly with the lowest investment possible. So just a few things about .NET Nuke. We are the #1 web content management system on the Microsoft stack. We know that for many reasons, not the least of which since the short time that we've had a commercial version of the product, we're approaching now 1,800 customers, and so that's in just under 3 years. That's pretty fun for us. Last year, we were just named named into the Inc. 500. Out of the software category specifically, we made number 23, so that's something we're very, very proud of. And number 9 overall in the San Francisco area. That is something that we take a lot of pride in, because in this Bay Area, we're also known as Silicon Valley. There are a lot of notable names here, things like Google and Facebook that you might have heard of. So we're very proud of that particular award. Some highlights about the company real quick. 700,000 production websites that we know about. There are so many sites out there running on .NET that we simply don't always know that they are. And so these are just the ones we know about. We find new ones every day. We have over 7 million downloads since the product was first released 10 years ago. And there is a community of over 1 million members out there. 1 million people out there worldwide that use .NET in all kinds of different ways, whether it's designing or building applications or building modules or just using it. There's all kinds of people that are facing the same types of things that you are, and they are part of our community. And we are the only web content management system with a commercial app marketplace completely integrated into the product. There's over 10,000 extensions that you can find, so you can have that classic build versus buy scenario with just even some of the smaller features, like I want to have a blog. I just go search for it. Oh, this one's great. I find it, buy it, install it in just minutes. You're up and running and using it. It's pretty impressive. And you can do that all from within the product without having to visit the marketplace itself. So I've said this a couple times, but we do realize that your most important business asset is your website. If you think about it, the first time somebody thinks about the services or products that you provide, the first thing that you might do is whether it's on a phone or on their desktop computer is go do a search for it real quick. Hey, who comes up? Maybe I don't know what their domain is. Maybe I'm searching for the company specifically. Your most important business asset, the thing that people first go to find out about you, any information, is your website. And so we provide to you a out-of-the-box solution that allows you to be able to have all of the ways that you need to roll out your website to be the most adaptive, the most flexible, and have the best user experience for your customers. Now, just a couple words on we love our customers very much, so a couple words on those. There is no specific vertical that .NET fits into. You can see all kinds of verticals here. There's people like Bank of America, Canon, there's Hilton's, there's Whirlpools, there's universities like University of Florida. So every single type of vertical that you can think of, .NET fits in there very, very well, whether it's for an intranet, an extranet, or a public-facing website, or even microsites or branding initiatives. You name it, .NET is there. Our customers also come in all kinds of sizes. So there's companies as small as 5 employees using .NET to roll out web applications. There's companies as large as Time Warner Cable, who has over 47,000 people in their company, and they happen to be using .NET for their intranet. Now on to why all this is important to you. .NET solves 2 things for you. We have 2 solutions that are really going to kind of hit this home for you. And the first one is end users. They can easily create content with either little or no training at all. So that's very important. So there's a lot of people that can just get up and running. They can just pick up the product, log in, and if they have permissions to do something, they can just figure it out in moments. And then, of course, there's being able to build very rich web applications. Not only can you use the out-of-the-box and the off-the-shelf functionality to provide a nice website presence in just moments, but you can also build a full-fledged web application off of this. This is also a web application framework, so you can build entire solutions that integrate with anything that you can think of right out of the box using just a little bit of development. And so kind of speaking to some of this, .NET does once again run off the Microsoft stack. So it does require that on a production website you use Windows Server 2003 or 2008. It runs off of the IIS web server, and it is a .NET application. So it does use ASP.NET Service or 3.5 Service Pack 1 or newer out of the box. And so .NET sits on that entire stack as an ASP.NET web application with default support for SQL Server in the backend, and that's 2005 or 2008, and pardon me, 2005 or 2008, and anything except for Compact Edition. But that is one of the many extensibility points, so you can use any database backend that you'd like. And for a non-production instance, you can actually, you don't have to use Windows Server. You can use Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Vista, and so on. So kind of diving into that a little bit, the 2 solutions that we're talking about, that's part of the architecture of .NET. There's first the web content management system. So that's the part that your end users and your visitors, that part that they're going to see, where they're clicking on things, editing content, tweaking configuration, and doing all those day-to-day things without having to have anybody technical involved or know or install any type of special software. And then if you need to have that need to build something highly highly relevant for your own organization, that's where the web application framework comes in. This is where your developers or maybe contractors that you have, maybe one of our trusted partners, this is where they come in and they build something very specific to your business needs. So we're continuing to dive right into this a little bit. So with the web content management system portion of it, this is kind of a diagram of what it looks like. So when we talk about what DotNetNuke is, it's not just a website. It is a multi-tenant website, or it has a multi-tenant architecture. And what that means to you is that you can host as many different websites off of a single installation as you would like. So as you can see here, you have your first site. It has its own content, its own pages, its own users, its own security, and so on. But then you can start to add as many sites as you want. They can have their own domain names, or they can have subdomains. They can be whatever they want. And they're also going to have their own content, pages, users, and as you desire, that is. And you're going to be able to run as many of those as you'd like. Now, in this installation, you can, while these all are going to have their own websites, are going to basically be sitting in their own sandbox, they will share something we call extensions. And the word extension in DotNetNuke simply describes anything that you can install into the platform. And so there's all kinds of different types of extensions. You might think of the word as apps, but modules is one of the most popular ones. So a module is something that somebody would be able to see on the page. So that could be a blog, it could be a survey, it could be any number of things, maybe reports or a dashboard of some kind. Modules are things that your end users would be able to see on the page and interact with. So skin objects, and skin widgets, these are things that are part of the design. So the design element of DotNetNuke is completely abstracted from both the content as well as the development. And so designers, they can do whatever they want. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. The final thing I'm going to mention here is language packs. So language packs are very important. These days more than ever, you're trying to appeal to a broader and larger audience, and a lot of times that means they're speaking different languages. And so DotNetNuke, from the ground up, you can provide a multilingual website with both your static content as well as your content that is more dynamic. Now, no matter which feature we're talking about, I do want to make sure that you know that there are no built-in limits with .NET You can run as many websites as you want with as many domain names, either for all of them or each of them, user security roles, concurrent content editors, so on. There are no limits in any of these areas. We do not put you into a box. Now, just a kind of a background before we get to the demo, I want to talk about the different types of users that we have in the platform. And the first type is a super user. Simply, they are the most privileged user in the platform, and they are there to create new websites and install features and tweak configuration. And they are basically, if you have 1,000 websites on your installation, they can get to all of them, but their primary responsibility is to not edit content, but to do those other things we just talked about. Now, the first person to edit content is simply called an administrator. They have full control over their website, but they can't do any of the things that I just mentioned a super user can do, with the exception of editing content. But they make sure your website runs, including managing users and security and so on. And then our final person is users, your end users. And so these are basically anybody that can view the website. Maybe they can log in, maybe they can't. But what they can and can't do and what they can and can't see is completely defined by not .NET but the administrators of your website. Now, that's the web content management system. I'm going to spend just a couple moments on the web application framework. And so if you're a little bit more technical here, this will make sense to you. So this is basically just an overhead view of the architecture of what .NET is. And I'm going to start at the bottom there with the small blue boxes. .NET is built from the ground up to be a provider model. And what that means to you is there is all kinds of underlying functionality that you can just switch out whenever you need to. If you have a business need or some sort of functionality need that you need something alternative. One of the most popular examples of that is the authentication piece. So by default, we come with support for web forms, which is your standard authentication, or Active Directory. We have that out of the box. We also now have Twitter and Facebook and Live ID. You can be able to authenticate against all those. But if you needed something else, maybe you need to authenticate against an existing backend service, or maybe LDAP. There are both existing and ways for you to build your own authentication to do those things. And you can choose to either use that exclusively or have multiple forms of authentication for your end users to take advantage of. So that goes through all these different features. And the powerful thing about this is, because it's an underlying provider, once you switch it out, it's just there. You don't have to do anything else. Now, this is all wrapped by something we call an API, the core services. That's that green box there. So no matter what type of functionality you have underneath, what type of provider you have, all the API is going to work exactly the same for either your designers or your developers. And so they don't have to worry about how to build things or rewrite things or reinvent the wheel on things like security or instrumentation, localization. All of these things are built into the system, and so they can just take advantage of it. All they do is call the API and they expose it in any way that they choose to do so. Now, as far as what an extension is, whether we're talking about a design or we're talking about one of these apps that you can install into the system, the design itself is something we're going to talk about in just a second, but the extensions, all the other extensions, they're nothing more than at least one user control. And if you know anything about ASP.NET, a user control is the most simple UI element that can be built. And so for every type of view that you want, it's at least one user control and any type of supporting functionality that it needs or requirements. You know, you can write that in any .NET compliant language, whether it's VB or C#, and you can once again use anything that it requires, whether it's CSS, CSS3, HTML, XHTML, HTML5, jQuery, any other type of plugin, maybe some grid frameworks. All these things are available to you. And then finally, as a professional or enterprise edition customer, not only is Telerik built into the core of DotNetNuke, but you get unlimited number of developer licenses to build your .NETNuke solutions using the Telerik Control Suite. And if you are not familiar with the Telerik Control Suite, it is by far the most popular control suite for the ASP.NET framework to build very comprehensive and interactive UI elements. So it has all kinds of things like these fun sliders and very comprehensive AJAX grids and so on. Now, as far as design, so you're going to build your site. It's going to have a structure. You're going to be adding pages, and so what we call skin is simply the design. And just like any other extension, it can have and use any type of technology that you want, whether it's XHTML, HTML5, CSS3, and so on. Your designs can have all those things. And so all a skin is basically a wrapper for the page. It defines things like the default fonts, the header, the layout, the background colors, and so on. But it also allows your designer to define where on the page and how much area on the page can somebody that is a content editor add content to. So that's represented by those dark blue boxes there. And so that's something that, once again, is defined by a designer, not .NETNuke. Once again, we don't lock you into a box here. And so these areas that your designers specify, that's where those little modules can be added to the page. So that's where somebody can add a survey or a blog or a forum or so on. And so that is completely, once again, defined by your designers. And so that brings up a great thing. So this is one of the ways that .NETNuke might look like out of the box. So we have a default design or a skin that we offer to you, but you can do anything that your designer can think of. There are no limitations. Basically, they are only limited by their creativity. They can do any number of types of designs that they want, and they can also create designs that will fit across multiple form factors or devices. There is nothing to prevent them from doing that. And you can see what some of our customers have done, like Coinstar. This is a very, kind of a, contemporary type of design. You can see what local governments like Denver, the city and county of Denver, have done. Higher education, University of New Orleans, and then people like Kingston. You can get once again, as creative as you would like to be. Now that's going to bring us up to our demonstration, and so I'm going to go ahead and move on to our demo website here. So give me just a moment. All right, I'm just transitioning to my other screen here. All right, just to make sure that everything's still working okay, I'm going to ask you guys one more time to raise your hands for me if you can see this red banner that says Awesome Cycles. You see the website? Excellent. Wow, you guys are really paying attention. I appreciate it. That was instantaneous. You're like waiting for me to say that. All right. So this is the demo website. So basically we have this pretend bicycle shop called Awesome Cycles. They are a great pretend bicycle shop. They sell lots of bicycles. They're very, very successful. And so anyway, so we have basically what looks like our typical website. We have our home page. We have our About Us page. We have some our services. And not only that, there's some commerce built into it. There's news and promotions, locations page. So we have all the typical things that a bicycle shop, for example, might need. But if you didn't notice, there was no way for me to edit anything just yet. This is very much what you would expect from a read-only type of perspective. I'm right now just a random user that happened to come to the website, and I'm here and I can't do anything just yet, but I can read all this new information and so on. Now, in order for me to do anything, I would have to log in. And so this first part of the demo, I'm going to first log in as that super user I described earlier so we can kind of take a high-level overview over some of the features that are available to you as a customer. And so I'm logging in as a super user, and I'm going to describe some of the content editing features that just appeared. So I'm going to spend a couple moments on that. Now, first of all, you can see that while I'm logged in, I do have the ability to have a profile. You can see that this area where I logged in has expanded, so the message center is now expanded, and I can get to my profile and so on. But something else that just happened. On every single area where I can edit content on the page, it now highlights that to me. So as a business user, right now, I would be able to tell that this Awesome Cycles area, I can actually edit that. It's highlighted. It's highlighted with this brown, or this this gray outline that's around that content area. So I know exactly, if I were to edit this, where it begins and where it ends. And that makes it super simple for our business users to be more confident about what to edit and to go ahead and do that, because they know exactly the impact that they're about to have on the page. Now, something else that appears when I put my mouse over that area is this nice Manage menu. And when I hover over that Manage menu, all of the abilities that I'm allowed to do have now been shown to me. So I can do everything because I'm a super user. I can edit content. I can delete this module from the page. I can go to Settings. I can import and export the content, or I can move it around the page. So within a click, I can move this somewhere. Now, that's going to once again be highlighted for me for all the different areas. You're going to soon see that depending on the type of user I am, I'm going to see very much less capabilities, but also I might not be able to edit anything at all. Now, one other thing that happened is this nice control panel has now appeared at the top of the page. That control panel is docked up there as well, so if I'm at the bottom of the page and decide I need to do something, it's still there for me. And so that makes it very easy. I don't have to scroll anywhere to get to it, and I can now change the context of how I'm viewing the website. I can use some of the shortcut methods to get to certain features. I can create and manage the current page, so I can create new pages and edit the existing page. I can even export pages to create templates based off the page that I'm looking at. The Modules menu is where I'm going to add new features to the page. So anything that's installed and I have permissions to add to the page will be here, and I can add them to the page anywhere on the page that I'd like. And this is also where I can add shared content, so I can add existing modules that have already been configured on different areas of the site. Now, there's also two other areas I'm going to dive into just briefly. One is the Host menu, so I'm going to click on that because that's going to open up a new page and have a better way for us to look at it. But this is where we do all of our configuration. So this is where we can go and add new features, so we can install extensions, whether they're things that we've already downloaded or they happen to sit on the store. We can do all that from one place. There's also site management. So this is where I come to create new websites. I can come in here and create as many websites as I want of any type of website I want. There's also device detection management. So for our mobile solution, this is where you come to be able to search through the different devices that are known and what their capabilities are. And then finally, as a Professional Edition customer and an Enterprise Edition customer, there are some features that are exclusive to you. Things like web farm support, so managing how DotNetNuke will function in your web farm and be able to have that that end-to-end user experience no matter which server they happen to hit. There's also health monitoring, so that allows you to let you know when your site might go down, but it also helps you keep your site up because it works as an HTTP keep alive service. Excuse me. So that allows you not only to keep your site up, but it will let you know when your site goes down. Application integrity and the security center, those are things that are some of my favorite features because they're security related. So application integrity will tell you, what files have changed and not changed, and so basically audits the file system and lets you know if something has changed. This is something you might want to take to your system administrator and find out why. Security Center allows you to proactively see if there's any security updates out there, so you can see what they are and know how to take action upon those if needed. There's also a search crawler admin. I'm going to dive into there just for a second. So there is a comprehensive crawler in DotNetNuke Professional Edition and Enterprise Edition that allows you to crawl your website. So it'll index just like Google or Bing or Yahoo. It'll actually crawl all your pages, all your links, and stay on the domains that you specify and index all that content and make it available to your search engine. Now the great thing about this, though, is that it doesn't have to be just this website. You can add as many different websites as you want. It'll index not only the links but also the documents on there. So that includes things like PDFs, Word documents, and so on. So if you have an existing website, it's not going anywhere, you can index those, and they can all show up into a single spot for your end users to have them optimal experience of just searching once and then clicking through to go to your content that you're managing. Some other features that are here, things like you would take for granted. This nice middle row here. That's all about you as our valued customer. Being able to get into technical support, creating tickets, managing your license, and getting some help. The last two things here are site groups and SharePoint connectors. So site groups allows you to group together multiple sites, if you have multiple sites in this installation, and to have a single sign-on across those sites, so you don't have to manage multiple accounts across them. So if you have, say, 20 different websites, but 5 of them are going to be managed by the exact same people, maybe you want to use site groups to allow all the sites to be logged into just the same way by the same people. Now the SharePoint connector allows you to connect your SharePoint site to your .NETNuke site, and so that's a support for 2007 or 2010 of SharePoint, but basically allows you to have a synchronization of all the documents that you're managing in SharePoint and publish them to your .NETNuke site. And so what that allows you to do is not impact your people that are on SharePoint whatsoever. You just create whatever views that you want to in your SharePoint site, and they were one-way synchronized to your .NETNuke site for you without telling them to do anything different necessarily. And so then that will make them available, all those files available to your .NETNuke site just like they were already here. Now I'm going to go ahead and log out. Since I'm a super user, I just logged out, but now I'm going to log in as a different user. I'm going to log in as Scott. Scott is the CEO of Awesome Cycles, but he happens to be the admin as well. So he's really very much into managing the website and being in tune with this. So you can see his profile is much different. He has a nice avatar, so it's pretty good looking here. And then we can see that the host menu has disappeared. So we're already starting to take features and capabilities away from people depending on who they are. But now that we're looking at this as him, we have this admin menu that I didn't go into before, but I am going into it as him. And so there's quite a few features here that are only available to Professional Edition users and Enterprise Edition users. Things like the site redirection management and the Google Analytics Pro and content staging. So site redirection we're going to talk about later, but Google Analytics, very easy. Copy and paste your Google Analytics code, and then you can not only have that apply to all your pages, but now you can use things like advanced segmentation to get detailed reports about specific segmented users. So it allows you to have a deeper insights into things like how your marketing campaigns are going. And then content staging is Enterprise Edition only, and so that allows you to have a staging version of your site where all your content editing will happen, and that can be published to your production site. Now, we're done with all the boring things. We're going to go ahead and do some content editing things. We're going to go ahead and talk about some other features. So I'm in the locations page now. I just went ahead and clicked on that in the menu system. You can see here it's a typical locations page. I have a little bit of information about the company and some of the locations that might be out there in the main office, and some deep links into maybe some of our social networks that Awesome Cycles might be actively participating in. So this is very much how you might be thinking about your own locations page. But this allows people to have a single place to get to all the ways to contact us, right? But we need somebody to edit this. Right now, I haven't given really any permissions to anybody on this site. I have created a couple users, as you can see. I have Scott Brown and so on. But I need somebody to be able to edit this area. And I don't want to allow them to be able to do all these things. I just want them to edit content. And so I'm going to change some settings here. I'm, once again, just Scott Brown. And I'm just going to come in here into this module, and I'm going to give some settings, or change the settings here for this module. And so I am only changing the settings for just this one feature and none of the other features on the page or the page itself. Now you can see here I can change the title of the module if I'd like, but in this next view here, this next tab, now I can say, you know what, marketing team, all of you can edit the content here, but you're not allowed to do anything else. I'm not going to allow you to accidentally delete the module, for example. And so I can allow them to do that without allowing them to do anything more dangerous. The other thing that I'm going to do here real quick is the module settings. You can see here that there's some settings here for history maximum. That relates to workflow. Workflow allows you to save versions in history. And so how many versions do you want to save throughout your site? Do you want to save just 5, which is the default? Or you can save as many as you'd like. It can be 1,000 or it can be unlimited. Completely up to you. Once again, we do not define that. It's not our job to put you in a box. We allow you to define what your box is. Now the next thing is we can create a workflow if you'd like, but I went ahead and created a workflow before the demo called marketing approval. And so the marketing approval workflow, if I go ahead and choose that, then when I choose whatever workflow it is, it's now going to tell me what it does. So you can see that this particular workflow, it starts in a draft state, so I can save it. I can keep working on this kind of in an offline mode. Nobody will really know unless they can also have edit view into it. But I can keep saving drafts as much as I want until it's a point to where I think that it's ready. If I think I've met the objectives that I was given, I can then kick it into workflow, and then it goes into whatever states of review that we've defined. I've only defined this one state of review called marketing review, and so you can define as many as you'd like. It could be 1, it can be 5, it can once again be like 1,000 or more. That's completely up to you. I wouldn't suggest that though. So you can have as many as you'd like here, and once that particular state of review is done, you can get this into once they publish it, it goes into the publish mode, which means that your visitors will see that content. But of course, because it's workflow, it could have the opportunity to go backwards if we want, so it can go either direction. Now the other useful thing here is whoever created this workflow, they also added a description here. That's obviously going to be its best practice, because when we in the real world, when we start creating workflows, you're going to end up with many that sound the same, but the description is always going to tell us what it was intended to be used for. Now some of the other things here are just, I'm not going to change those other settings down here, but this allows you to define exactly how you want the workflow to impact your site, how you want things to be overridden as example, or how you want this workflow that I just chose to be applied across the site. Do I want it just to be used for this one module, or for all the modules on this page, or for the entire site? And how do I want to try to override the other ones if they've been specified? So we have a lot of ways to go ahead and apply workflow on our website. I'm going to leave everything at the default though, except for marketing approval. So what I've done here, just as a repeat here, and just to let you know, is I've done 2 things. First of all, I've let the marketing team have edit control permissions so they can edit the content. And then on here, I've chosen a workflow for those people to use. And so I'm going to go ahead now and just update to save those changes. Now, it doesn't look right now like anything's changed, but we're going to go ahead and do some content editing as if we were just a regular old business user. So I'm logging out. Now, I'm in here in the read-only view again. I'm just an anonymous user right now. I'm going to log in, though, as Ross Baker. Now, Ross Baker, he is part of the marketing team. He's not part of the management of marketing team, but he is part of the marketing team. And when I come to this page, a couple things are different. First of all, this control panel, almost none of it is available to me, but only the part that I need. So now I can go into view mode so I can see this without edit content permissions, which we'll do in a moment, or I can go to edit mode, or I can preview it. The previewer is a mobile feature, which we'll get into later. Now, on this page, if I hover over Contact Us, you can see that I don't get that gray box that we've been seeing over and over again. I cannot edit this area. I have no capabilities to do that. But when I hover over Locations, I get both that gray box as well as the Manage menu. And when I hover over the Manage menu, you can see that I have very specific permissions that I've been given. I can only edit content and nothing else. If I were to go to different areas in the site, I don't even get the control panel, even though you can see I'm still logged in. I can't do anything else on this site, no matter which area I am on here. So you can tell that I don't have any other permissions that have been assigned except for the ones that I showed you. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and edit the content here. And so when I edit the content, a couple things are different from if I didn't have workflow enabled. First of all, I have some version tracking in here. It's not going to be very exciting until I have like a whole bunch of people editing, but that allows you to go not only see the previous versions and maybe restore to them, but you can also look at all the auditing information, such as the feedback that people have been given throughout the workflow process. Some other things that are in here is it lets you know which version we're currently looking at, so that's why that last view is particularly uneventful. We've only had one version of content so far, but the workflow that's in use is pretty useful. Which workflow? Marketing approval. So we know that marketing is going to be reviewing all the content here. And then right now, the content that we're looking at is in a published state. So the stuff down here is what's being published and shown to the public. Now, when we edit information in DotNetNuke, or content rather, we have a very universal way to do this through this rich text editor. This is very much like a Microsoft Word type of experience, so it's very familiar to all your business users, your average end users, and it's what you call a what you see is what you get, or WYSIWYG content editing experience. And so when they type things and they insert images, what they see here is what they're going to be seeing on the page. Now this editor it has all the features that you would be taking for granted, things like spell check. It'll go ahead and do all the spell checking for you. You can insert images and various type of media or documents. You can save and reuse HTML snippets, so you can use them as templates. You can go ahead and use links or have some custom links, so you can insert links to different areas in the site. You can go ahead and do very robust control over tables, so you can not only add them in very interactive ways, but you can actually edit them in a very contextual way. So if I were to right-click on the menu, or excuse me, on the table itself, you have all of the features that we would expect as if we were in a full-fledged desktop experience. It also has the ability for you to strip out different types of formatting. So if you're copying and pasting this from different areas, you don't have to be an HTML wizard to fix it, especially when it comes from things like Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word loves to ruin website formatting, and this editor will automatically remove the Microsoft Word formatting once it's pasted in. So it looks for it every time you paste in content, and it'll remove it if it's in there. So you can see there's quite a bit of content in here. Now, I just did an overview there, so let's remind you why I'm here. So I'm Ross Baker. As Ross Baker, I've been told I need to do a couple things on here. Somebody created this content for us, but we wanted to highlight a few things in here, for catching people's eyes. So, like, we have insanely great products. We have maybe incredible customer service, and the competitive low prices. And maybe we want to also highlight that we have franchise opportunities. So we want to make sure I was doing a Control B. Here we go. Control B. There we go. We can highlight all those things. I can go ahead and underline and all those things that we take for granted. But the last thing I'm going to do here is insert an image. So I just went to the bottom of the site here. I hit Enter once. I'm going to hit Enter one more time. Actually, I'll just leave it like that. And so I've done a couple line breaks here. And I'm going to go ahead and insert an image. And so I'm going to use my image manager to do that. Now, the image manager, it's basically just looking through the file system that every other type of feature in DotNetNuke will allow you to do, but it's filtering on just showing you images that are in the system. So I'm not going to see all the documents in this particular view. But the important thing here is that it's also using the permissions that are in the file system. So you saw the permissions in the module level. We also have granular permissions in the page level and in the file system. So there might be even folders that I can't see here. But you can already see that because I'm Ross Baker, I haven't been given the ability to upload any documents yet. Had I been given the ability to upload documents, I could go ahead and do that. But right now I can just select an image. I get a nice preview. I can go ahead and insert it now, but if I had permissions to save in this folder, which is basically the same thing as upload, I can also edit this image right here in this environment. So I could change it in any number of ways. And then finally, if I wanted to change any of the attributes of the image, maybe I wanted some alt text, or I wanted to align this with text, or give some borders to it, I can do all of those things before I insert it, and then I just insert it. Now, just like with editing content with the table, if I wanted to change anything, I can just simply go to the properties of the image. But at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and center align it. That looks much better, and now we can go ahead and save it. Now, before I click Save, and I have the opportunity to either lock it, to save it as a draft and prevent people from changing it, or I can just publish it, which will kick it into workflow. That will also go ahead and lock it for me. So that's a very nice feature. It's going to prevent people from kind of getting in each other's way during the workflow process. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And every step of the workflow, I'm going to have an opportunity to get feedback. So I'm going to say highlighted the keywords and added an image as requested. There we go. And go ahead and add the comment, and so now it's saved. Now the first thing you might think here is, oh my goodness, workflow didn't work. Oh, there's a bug in the demo. That's not true. So DotNetNuke, once again, is an in-context content management system, and so there's a lot of benefits for with it being that way. First of all, we don't need any back office software to edit anything. You've seen that. I simply go to the content, I edit it. That's incredibly easy for end users. They don't have to figure out a whole lot. It's incredibly easy for them to know what to edit and where to edit it, and they don't also need any special back office area either. They don't have to know any top secret URLs or anything like that. They simply log in and edit content. It's that easy. The other thing is that as far as context is, I can also always see the impact I'm going to be having on the page. So if I had saved this as a draft, I would be able to see, like, okay, I added the image, it didn't ruin the formatting, and maybe the bolding didn't look great, or it did, and so I can have that opportunity to see how I've impacted the page without having necessarily anybody else see it. So it allows me to have all the capability. And so instead of having this in kind of a siloed little area and trying to figure out what that looks like, or having multiple browser windows open or anything like that, I get this view right here. But since I save this and put it into workflow, we might be concerned that our visitors can see this. So if I go ahead and move and change this into view mode in the control panel, I'm going to see this as if I don't have any content editing capabilities whatsoever. So that allows me to see how other people are still seeing this. And if we go back to edit mode, we can see that, okay, this is what's being pushed into workflow. Now I'm going to go ahead and log out and log back in, and this time I'm going to log in as Janet Smith. Janet Smith is Ross's supervisor. So when she logs in, because she can edit content, you remember we added marketing and marketing management to edit content, she can see the pending views. She can also go into edit content and see prior versions and roll back and all those fun things, but right now we're in workflow, and so a couple things have happened when we saved our content and kicked it in workflow. The first thing is she probably got an email, as long as we, when we added our workflow, we specified that she would get an email. That's an option. But also she has a notification here. So if she goes into her notification center, this is one of the primary areas where she can see where things are happening. So this isn't just for content workflow. This is for anything that might be happening. She might be approving or disapproving blog comments or maybe forum posts or any number of things she'll get notifications on. Also, throughout the site, this allows her, this My Work feature allows her to be able to edit all the content and work through the workflow without having to keep going to the notification center or her email. If she has, let's say she has 30 different things she has to approve today, they're all waiting for her approval, she's going to have 30 different links. And as she approves one, she just goes right back into My Work from any location on the site, and she goes ahead and clicks the next thing, and so she just keeps moving through the site. So it keeps her very productive. Now we're already on the one place here that has content, so we're going to go ahead and approve it. Now once again, if I approve it, it moves it forward through the workflow process. If I reject it, it moves backwards. And so I'm going to approve it. I'm going to say looks great, and that's really all I need to say. So I'm going to add the comment, and at this point the content has been approved. And so now I can go ahead and go into view mode, and you can see that that's exactly the same content that we were looking for. All right, so that's that particular feature. So I'm going to go ahead and, actually, I meant to log out. So I'm going to log out here. And we're now going to look at mobile. So I'm going to log in now as a different user once again. I'm going to log in as the host user that we originally logged in as. And if you don't remember, the host user can do all those configuration things and install features, but more importantly, what we're about to do is create a new website. Now, when we talk about mobile, there's a lot of different ways that you can roll out mobile, and we do support every single one of those. Whether it's you using DotNetNuke as your content management or your content publishing platform to mobile apps, or you want to have a mobile site experience, you can do all of those with this. Now, right now, we're going to create a brand new website using the mobile features, and so you can see that only one website is currently created, but I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to add a new website. I can create two different types of site. A parent site allows me to use any type of domain name that I'd like, or I can do a child site, which will be easier for the demo. I'm going to go ahead and just have a mobile subdirectory type of experience for a new website, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. I'm going to call this Awesome Cycles Mobile Site. And now I have the opportunity to choose a template. So you have templates built throughout .NET Nuke. One of the ones I'm going to choose is mobile website template. But this is a great view to kind of give you insight that we are a multilingual platform, and so there are a lot of built-in multilingual functionality, including the different types of multilingual templates that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the mobile one though for English and create my site. Now in the background it's doing quite a few things. It's creating some database stuff, it's doing some other technical things with the file system and so on, but it's doing it all for you. You don't have to know anything technical to create a new website, and then once it's ready it just shows up. So you can see here I'm already on my mobile website. Now this mobile website experience, this is the mobile template, so it's basically giving you what's known as some best practices here. Give me just a second, I'm going to close that. There we go. Bring my site back up. Apologize for that. It just went to the other screen. There we go. So one of the things that's built out of the box with this mobile template is responsive rendering. And if you haven't heard of that, that's basically you being able to define from a design perspective what your site is being delivered, or how your site rather is being delivered to your visitors, whether they're on a maybe a tablet experience like this, or maybe they're on a smaller form factor like a handheld device like this. So it has a touch-friendly menu system, so you can see that this menu system is completely touch-friendly, and then it's also using best practices. So for example, if we went to About Us, we go down to the bottom, just like the best practices that you've seen across websites so far, our child navigation is down at the bottom. Now, some other things about that. So if I were to, let me go ahead and expand this. So you can see the menu pops right back into the place that it was, but that child navigation is up top, and so you can see that it completely responds to the different form factors. So responsive rendering is part of the platform. It's part of your experience that you're going to be getting as a customer. So there's a lot of features around that, including you're able to, through the content editing experience, you can have different versions that will expand depending on if a user is interested in it or not, as well as having a preview experience. So there is a previewer built into the platform. You might know this term as also an emulator, but you can preview your site as if you had all these different types of devices, and you can add to this list if you want. So if I want to see what this looks like on iPhone 4, I can go ahead and look at it, I can interact with it, I can click on the links, and basically this preview experience is pretending like it is that device. We can also go into landscape mode, so how does this look if they turn the phone sideways? Maybe I want to look at this as if they were on an iPad. So I have all those capabilities. I don't have to invest in the infrastructure to have all these different devices, or maybe keep bothering the guy in the office next to me to look at their phone again. You can do that all right here. It saves you an incredible amount of time. Now we have a mobile website, but that's not enough. How do we get people there, right? So it's one thing to have a mobile website, but let's go ahead and look at the ways that we can get people to it. So I'm going to log out. I'm going to log back in as Scott, because we don't need to be a super user to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and manage this experience. And so in the admin menu that we were at before, I can come to the site redirection management. And when I click through on this, I have a couple different options. We have the super simple option of just, if I'm a mobile device of any kind, tablet or otherwise, I will be able to go ahead and create a role, and it's just going to fit everybody. The next thing is, do I want to use more advanced options? I submit to you that this should say the more fun options. So we're going to go ahead and do the fun option here, and we're going to create a couple rules. The first one is going to be called iPhone. So we're going to create a rule for iPhones, and we can create the redirect in any number of ways that we want. We can have it from page to different site, or page to page, or page to URL, or we can do site to site, and so we can do any combination that we'd like. So I'm going to keep the demo simple today. I'm just going to go from site to site. You can see our mobile site's already selected. And then we can select how we want this redirect to work. Do we want it for just mobile phones, so anything that's mobile, or anything that's tablet, or both? Or do we want to get more advanced? And so this is the fun part. So I can just click here, and I'm going to say, you know what, any mobile phone that is, let me go ahead, and any mobile phone that is, let's choose a platform name that is iOS. That's the term for iPhone. I can go ahead and add that. And so now I have a rule that says if it's iOS, so that right now just iOS would even match tablets, the iPad. If it's an iOS and it's mobile, then it's an iPhone. Easy. So I just go ahead and save that. So I just created a rule. I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call this one Android. So I'm creating an Android rule, and I can save from site to site again. Obviously, in the real world, I might have a different site I'm pointing it to, but I'm going to go ahead and do that for simplicity. And now I'm going to create a very similar rule. So I'm going to exclude tablets from this again, and so I'm going to say mobile devices, and now the platform name, I'm going to go ahead and say Android. And so it's very easy, a couple clicks, I create a rule, and then go ahead and save it. So I just created a couple rules. I can keep going through that over and over again. So if I want to target based upon tablets, or I want to target based upon any number of capabilities, whether it's Flash or JavaScript support or anything, maybe it's even dimensions. Maybe if you have different sites for different types of dimensions intentionally, you can target as many different ways as you want. It's going to go through each of these rules, and then once it matches one, it'll redirect. Now, let's say today, or let's say last month when I created this, iPhone was 80% of my mobile traffic. But you know what? I just checked Google Analytics today, and Android now is #1, and they're 85% of my traffic. If that was the case, I can very simply change the order of the rules just by moving it, and it's already saved. The very next person coming to my website in the Android phone will be redirected using that rule. So that's how easy it is to manage your mobile experience on your .NET site. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and move back into the slideshow, so give me just a second here. That's it for the demo for today. And so what could we not get to? So there's quite a few other features in the platform for Professional and Enterprise Edition customers. We have briefly mentioned most of these, but there's document library, so you do have a document management experience in .NET, so you can have approvals and categorization and so on. There is a commerce engine that's part of the Professional Edition, and that's a very great way to, especially for subscriptions or different types of digital goods. There is no better commerce module available for .NET. Then there's also some folder providers. So out of the box with Professional Enterprise Edition, you can connect to your file servers using UNC, or you can connect to Windows Azure or Amazon S3, and you can have those folders or files rather coming from those different areas. And the people that are managing your content, your site, it won't look any different to them. This will just look like another folder that they're choosing from, but you can have the power of the cloud or your file server coming right into your platform, right into your .NET website. So we talked about portal groups. There's also high-performance caching, so that's unique to Professional and Enterprise Edition. So there is a more high-performance, not only for web farms, but for very high-traffic caching mechanism that's part of the platform. And I did talk about content staging in SharePoint just briefly. So hopefully through this demonstration, some of the things I hope I was able to demonstrate for you and I hope came through was .NET is incredibly easy to use. Almost everything I did there, it was just a click away. I was able to just get to it, click it, add it, change something, type, insert an image. Everything was very easy to do, and obviously it was very fast because I went through a lot of features in a very short amount of time, and I don't think I went fast, but you can correct me if I'm wrong there. You can create very high quality websites very quickly. So whether it's the built-in features we're talking about or getting off-the-shelf functionality, you can have a website of high quality in a very short amount of time with a very low cost. The average extension in the marketplace, as an example, is something like $90. That's a drop in the bucket. That's less than 1 hour of your programmer's time. All that put together, it is a very high return on your investment. All right, so there's 3 different flavors of .NET. There's obviously the Community Edition. That's free and open source. It's been deployed in literally hundreds of thousands of production websites worldwide. But your only form of support for Community Edition is through the .NET forums or through the Community Exchange on the .NET website. There's also the Professional Edition, which we've been looking at today, talking about today rather. And so this is a paid, fully commercial solution. It's fully supported, and it is it's optimized for large and business critical websites. So that's what a lot of the features that we're talking about are addressing is the business problems that a large and business critical website has. And it includes a lot of very useful features such as granular permissions, workflow, and mobile. Now, the support, you get unlimited online technical support from DotNetNuke Corporation, and so that's unlimited tickets. You can have as many as you'd like. You can use it to your heart's content. Now, Enterprise Edition is Professional Edition with a couple extra features. We have content staging and SharePoint connector that are more specific to the Enterprise Edition. couple of things about the services we offer to you, the services we provide. So we do have elite support, so it's a higher level of support. It's telephone based, so you can pick up the phone and call somebody. And I can't tell you how much I would love to pick up the phone and call somebody if my site's down. That's a great insurance policy. You also get a guaranteed quicker response time, so you have a 2 business hour SLA versus an 8 business hour with the standard support. You get one-time installation upgrade support as well, so we'll help you install or upgrade your site for you. And there's also you get all the source code for the Professional or Enterprise Edition bits, depending on which version you are subscribed to. Then there's also developer support services. So this is a higher level of support to basically cover anything that's not standard support. So standard support, whether it's elite or otherwise, is break fix. So if something's broken, we're going to help you find a way to fix it or fix it for you, depending on what the nature of the problem is. So developer support services is for everything else that you might need help with. It might be for configuring something. It might be for SEO or performance, or maybe I want you to help me figure out how to build this the first time the right way instead of me doing it 2 or 3 times, or spending time on it and not getting it right the first time. And then there's also training provided by Chris Hammond. So he's a well-known author of DotNetNuke, and he also has a few different types of training that are available to you. So we kind of went over this already. I'm going to get to the questions now. So questions and answers. There are a couple things here, though, to note. Find us on the social networks, and of course, that bottom thing there, DNN World 2012. If you didn't go last year, you missed out. But make sure you go there this year. DNN World is always a fantastic event. It's our major conference that we have every year. This year's in October, so go ahead, sign up. And meet us there. It's a great way to get involved, to learn more. A lot of different sessions and training is going to be given at the event, and of course there's a ton of networking, and that's my favorite part, getting to meet all of you and everybody else. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to some of these questions, so give me just a second here. All right, so this is an interesting question. So I said, is DotNetNuke compatible with Oracle? We have an Oracle-based portal that runs on our business management, enrollment, admissions, payroll, and more. That's a fantastic question. So there's 2 different ways to address connecting to Oracle. First of all, there is an Oracle database provider for DotNetNuke that does exist out there. There's only one that I know of. So you can connect to Oracle using that and run DotNetNuke off of Oracle. But if you want to integrate with Oracle, there's nothing to prevent you from having another database connection as part of your platform to allow you to talk to it, whether it's through a reports module or custom modules or so on. So you can do either. You can either connect to Oracle, or you can run DotNetNuke off of Oracle. And that's pretty much going to be the same answer for any database out there. The question is always going to be, is there already an existing provider to allow you just to download it and install it and connect using it, or do you have to build it? So that's going to be the answer no matter which database we're talking about. So another question, I think we addressed this, but I'm just going to answer it specifically. Can the skin support responsive design? It absolutely can. All right, so as a web agency, can you purchase one license and manage multiple domains for all clients? You absolutely can. It depends on, you can run a single installation of .NET and have multiple websites running off of it. The only thing that I want you to be aware of is at some point those websites are going to get successful and grow, and you might need to get more licenses to grow into web farm to be able to support those multiple sites. So do be aware that if the world was doing everything that it needs to, you're going to get successful, your customers are going to get successful, and you're probably going to need to get more licenses. Okay, so does the search crawler admin let you know when you have or where you have broken links? So it does not let you know that. So that's a great question. One of the things that most of our customers use is something called Google Webmaster Tools, and Google Webmaster Tools will absolutely tell you that. So that's a report that personally on the sites I run that I look at regularly to make sure that broken links are addressed. That's a great tool to use, by the way. All right, I'm going to just be able to get to just a couple more here. We're right at our time. All right, can we schedule when content is loaded and expires? Another great question. You absolutely can. You can do that either at a page level or a module level. One of the features I didn't show you in the settings was the ability for you to schedule not only time for the content to appear, but you can also schedule when it expires. You can also do that in the document library solution that we have. You can do this very same thing for documents. I'm going to get to one more question here. Okay, are there ways to repurpose content across module, page, and site? So absolutely. So I briefly mentioned that when I was talking about the control panel, but you absolutely can reuse content. Basically all the content is provided in various modules, so you can redisplay modules across the site so they can be the exactly same instance. You just choose to show it again. So when you add a new module, you wouldn't use a new module, but instead there's a setting there for existing module. The other way, you can also do that across sites as well, and there's multiple ways to do that. And honestly, depending on the module, you might choose a different way, so I'm not going to tell you which way is the right way. It just depends on the module that you use, but you can do it across multiple sites as well. So that's really the end of our time today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the webinar at this point. There are a large handful of questions still out there, and so I'm going to go ahead and address those. I'm going to talk to you directly via email. I'll get back to you. I hope to get back to you today, but don't be surprised if it's tomorrow. But thank you, everybody, for coming to today's webinar. I really appreciate you once again spending time with us, and I hope this was of value to you. And so also give us feedback if you want. You can email us there and let us know how it went, and enjoy the rest of your days or evenings.